The debate over creating a safer city at 4. Tonight, the mayor of St. Louis and other local leaders are at odds over how to make streets less dangerous. This latest push for safer streets comes less than 2 weeks after 2 women were killed walking downtown. Good afternoon, I'm Kay Quinn.
And I'm Brent Solomon. A driver going more than 70 miles per hour through a red light hit that mother and daughter. Now the mayor says it's time to install traffic cameras. 5 on your side's Diamond Palmer caught up with the mayor, who's getting some pushback. Fill us in, Diamond.
Well, Brent and Kay, both Mayor Tashara Jones and the Board of Aldermen both agree that something needs to be done to improve traffic safety. The mayor says the Board of Aldermen is stalling, but the Board of Aldermen says they just want to make sure more policies are transparent to the public when it comes to red light and speed cameras. Now, Friday, Mayor Tashara Jones urged the Board of Aldermen to pass the Traffic Automated Safety Act. The bill allows for red light and speed cameras, which she says would hold dangerous drivers accountable. There have been several high-profile incidents in the past year involving pedestrians being hit by cars in St. Louis. Janae Edmondson lost her legs near the Dome at America's Center last year, and a mom and daughter were killed while leaving the Drake concert earlier this month. Board of Aldermen President Megan Green supports this idea, but also wants to make sure there is plenty of discussion to make sure the technology isn't misused.
Everyone deserves to feel safe navigating our city by foot, by bike, by transit, or by car. We have to change the norm.
And we are beginning to see a pattern of evading responsibility. The job of the legislative branch of our government is to debate issues in a public forum with the community.
Now, the mayor also signed the Executive Order 78 today, which calls on surveillance technology, transparency, and accountability. It specifically says SLMPD has to provide an annual report to the Board of Aldermen, but the Board of Aldermen calls it insufficient. Reporting in downtown, Diamond Palmer, 5 on your side.
All right, thank you, Diamond. 10 years in prison. That's the sentence for Cedric Dixon, found guilty in a crash that killed 4 people. Prosecutors say Dixon ran a red light last February that caused an SUV to go over a guardrail and onto Forest Park Parkway. Today, the families of those killed tell 5 on your side the sentence isn't tough enough. Robert Townsend will have their stories tonight on 5 on your side at 5 and 6.
Let's get now to your weather first forecast. Sunny skies and temps in the 60s just in time for the weekend. But Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell is here to tell us how things will switch up a bit this weekend. Scott.
Well, things are going to change for us a little bit. We're going to get cooler overnight tonight. That breeze kicking up a bit right now and a few clouds starting to roll in. That's an indicator that we do have some cooler air filtering in and across the region. Looking out into St. Charles right now, you see some of those clouds that are trying to build in across the area at this moment, but we're still pretty bright in most areas, and we'll certainly take that. And we've been pretty mild too. Temperatures in the low to mid 60s. We are now slipping a bit. Those temperatures starting to drop. See the clouds to our north and northeast. They're going to flirt with St. Louis through the overnight hours, and especially more so off to the east and northeast of St. Louis through the overnight, but still pretty bright. It's just rather breezy, and we can see that as we look downtown over towards the Enterprise Center. That camera high atop, 26 stories up, is just kind of bouncing in the breeze, so it will be quite breezy this evening into the overnight hours. Dry weather, though, for the weekend ahead. A chilly Saturday, a much warmer Sunday, and then we'll talk about chances for rain as we head into next week with unusually warm weather. See you in a few minutes, Kay.
All right, thank you, Scott. It was not a cyber attack that may have kept you from making a phone call on your cell phone yesterday. AT&T blames an error in coding for the outage. Thousands of customers were affected by what the carrier calls a technical error that happened while crews worked to expand the network. Verizon and T-Mobile customers, they also flagged service issues. Those companies say that was most likely due to the problems contacting customers on the AT&T network.
Well, tomorrow is the Republican presidential primary in South Carolina. Despite being the state's former governor, Nikki Haley trails former President Trump in the polls. Amy Kiley has more on the contentious race.
Go text, email everybody you know and let them know that it is important that they get out and vote.
It's the last day before the Republican primary in South Carolina. Candidates are making a final push to win voters. Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley is hoping for a home state advantage.
You know, I look at you and I think about all that we did together. When I came in as governor,
But former President Donald Trump has a commanding lead in state polls.
She's governor, but people don't like her too much, and she's hurting the party.
Nationwide, Trump has 63 delegates to Haley's 17. Some of his supporters say she should drop out.
The one person that stands in the way of having a conversation between Joe Biden and Donald Trump is Nikki Haley.
Haley says it's too soon to give up. After all, winning takes more than 1,200 delegates. Neither candidate is close to that number.
Just because you're the underdog going against the favorite and you're down by a few points in the first quarter doesn't mean you walk off the court and give up in the game.
But if Haley can't win her own state tomorrow, it could be hard to see how she'd win the nomination. Regardless, she vows to keep going.
after South Carolina, the next day I'm headed to Michigan, and then we're going to Super Tuesday states.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
With Donald Trump the presumptive nominee, 2024 looks like it will be a rematch between Trump and President Biden. Well, many people aren't too excited about that potential matchup, including some in the Democratic Party. On this week's episode of The Record, political editor Mark Maxwell sits down with Illinois Secretary of State Alexei Janulius. He says he values what Biden has done in office, but there's something that concerns him.
I fundamentally think that Donald Trump represents a very real threat to our democracy. It disturbs me that someone like that can get away with the way he acts and think he should be the most powerful person in the world. Do I wish Joe Biden was younger? Yes.
You can catch Mark's full interview with the Illinois Secretary of State. It's all Sunday night after Sports Plus.
As Teamsters threaten to strike, Anheuser-Busch now making a plan to keep beer on store shelves.
It's a question that's divided Florissant: build new housing or preserve space for recreation. How the community is finding a compromise.